Iran has faced international condemnation after executing 3 men in relation to protests that occurred in the country. Majid Kazemi, Saleh Mirhashemi, and Saeed Yaqoubi were executed in Isfahan for their alleged involvement in an attack that resulted in the deaths of 3 security officers during anti-government protests in November 2022. The executions have drawn criticism from international watchdogs, with the U.S. State Department calling the proceedings sham trials and urging Iran to refrain from carrying out the executions. Amnesty International also raised concerns, stating that the men were fast-tracked through Iran's judicial system without due process. Mahmood Amiry-Moghaddam, the director of Iran Human Rights, expressed his belief that these executions serve to prolong the Islamic Republic's rule, and emphasized the need for serious consequences from the international community to prevent further executions of protesters. Human rights groups report a significant increase in executions in Iran, with at least 582 people executed last year, marking a 75% rise compared to the previous year. This surge in executions is seen as an attempt by Tehran to instill fear among anti-regime protesters. The protests in Iran, which began in September and continued for several months, led to the highest number of executions in the country since 2015. The U.S. State Department condemned the planned executions of Kazemi, Mirhashemi, and Yaqoubi, emphasizing that these executions would violate human rights and dignity. The department criticized the Iranian regime for not learning from the protests and for failing to address the concerns raised by the death of Mahsa Amini in September. Various human rights organizations, including Iran Human Rights and the Hengal Organization for Human Rights, have decried the wave of executions in Iran, highlighting the lack of adequate defense rights for the accused. The protests that rocked Iran last fall were fueled by long-standing grievances regarding the treatment of women and other issues. The movement posed a significant challenge to Iran's ruling clerical regime and was met with violent repression by authorities. The executions of these men further highlight the ongoing tensions and human rights concerns within Iran.